Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on this gorgeous little tote bag. Very exciting colour combination chosen by the beautiful Bonnie, one of our subscribers, during our live antics on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time. Now, if you didn't know this, guys, once a week I give a subscriber, and that's any subscriber who is on our live, a chance to choose a colour combination of our very next tutorial. Now, Bonnie had no idea what I was making, but here it is. It's the gorgeous little tote bag that you see right here. Now, what you will need, let's get on with what you will need straight away. Bonnie, I love your color choice. You will need a pink, and you will need about, I don't know, maybe 12 grams of the pink. Not much, yeah. I'll give you that one last. You'll need the white, once again, maybe 8 to 10 grams. These are minimal, very minimal. It's a great stash busting project. You will need about the same 8 to 10 grams of the yellow, and with the blue. Now, I'll talk to you firstly about the actual yarn. Blue, aqua, green, I don't know what you want to call it. This one here, you'll probably need between 100 and 112 grams. And I say that because that's how much I used, but I did have an issue with my yarn. Some of it looked like this throughout the tutorial. Look at that. It was all splitty. So I had to cut quite a bit off. So maybe 110 grams. I'm not sure, depending on how tightly or loosely you crochet. Now, this is an acrylic. It is an Aran weight or a 10 ply in here in Australia. Number 4 weight overseas. Yep. And you can actually use wool, or you can use a cotton. A cotton would look nice in the bag. Actually, I use cotton a lot when making bags, and we are going to make bags again in the future, different types, different stitches, and we will be using cotton in the future for that, so get ready for that. In the meantime, it is a 10 ply, like I said. It calls for a 5mm hook, and we used, oops, I dropped it. Hello. Excuse me. We used a 5mm hook. She's all over the place. We used 2 stitch markers, and we used a pair of scissors, and we used a darning needle, which is right here. Now, this one here, this one was not a good one for me to use when sewing the bag up. Okay, there is one bit of sewing that you will need. We're going to sew inside out. Your piece will be turned inside out. It doesn't affect you with this tutorial because this one is only part 1 of the tutorial, and as you noticed, there is 2 parts. But this one here, the sewing needle was literally a sewing needle. It's not exactly for yarn, which made it quite pointy and made my yarn split. So if you have one of those wool darning needles, maybe the ones with the little points that go up, that works really well when sewing pieces together. However, this is the one I used today. Not today. You'll see that in part 2, which will be on Friday. So yes, guys, this is part 1 of the tutorial. Now, part 1 is what you see. I just picked up a whole lot of threads when I did this. Hello. You didn't see that. I picked up a whole lot of threads. Let's do that. Get rid of everything. Oh, she's all over the place. This is part 1 of your little tote bag. Now, I say little, but look at the size of that. My hands, both my hands fit in this bag. You can fit purse, phones, a book. You can fit your crochet bag with your little pack with all your little hooks and sewing needles and everything. However, remember, this is not lined, so don't actually put a sewing needle in there, you'll lose it. I do have one end left. You didn't see that. Let's hide it so they don't know it's there. So I do have one end left to do. Don't forget, guys, you really need to weave in all those ends. Now, there's a lot to do in this particular pattern, so I've done part 1 and part 2. Part 1, you'll be making the squares, attaching them together. You'll sew or crocheting them together, and then you'll need to weave in some ends. And part 2, we will be doing the sewing of the side seams and then your handles, okay? Side seams and around the square, and then your handles, all right? So I'm not going to talk anymore because once again, like most of my tutorials, it does go a long time, but I do want to give Bonnie once again a very special thank you for her colour combination of this gorgeous tote bag. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off by making a magic circle or a magic ring or a magic loop, grabbing the tail end of your yarn, popping it in front, like so. Grab your working end, wrap it around your fingers and across the tail. So you're forming a little X. Pop your hook under your first loop, grab the back loop, pick it up and pull it through. You should have 1, 2 and 3 sections. Try and hold all 3 sections. Yeah? Chain 1, and a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through to the loop on your hook once, right? Now chain 2, chain 3. Just grabbing that tail, giving it a gentle tug, not a lot, because we need to put our double crochets in there. And a double crochet is yarn over your hook, into the into the space, going over all your tails, pull a loop through. You've got 1, 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Now before you go on, grab your stitch marker. Let me just pop that crochet hook out. And this is 1 double crochet right there. Right next to it, these 2 top loops that you see here. Grab your stitch marker, and hopefully you don't crochet as tight as I do, and pop your stitch marker in those 2 top loops there. All right. Now, you are going to continue your square. Yep. Yarn over your hook into the little space, pull up a loop, 1, 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2. That is your double crochet, and that's what you'll be working with throughout the rest of this tutorial. Yeah, chain 1 and 2, and then you're going to be putting 3 double crochets in the center. Off you go. 1, 2, 3. Yes, chain 1 and 2, and once again you're going to pop another 3 double crochets, still crocheting over your tail. That will help you close it up later. 3 double crochets in the center. If you find it loose, just tighten it a little bit, not too much. 2 and 3. Chain 1 and 2. You need yet again another 3. Off we go. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1 and 2. What you have here now is your 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of, or clusters if you will, of double crochets, and then 1, 2, 3, and we just did these chains here, which will close up now and make it a 4th chain space. So before you close up anything, before you actually slip stitch, just grab your tail and tug everything, and your center closes just like magic. All right, now slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker in it. Yes, pull a loop through like so. In fact, you know what? I'll pop the hook in the stitch marker stitch, then I'll take the stitch marker out to show you what to do. Yeah, so you pop your hook in, you grab that loop, you pull it through, and you pull it through to the loop on your hook. Pull a loop up. Guess what? You're going to cut that thread and change to another color, which is the yellow. I threw that from the top. Can you believe it? It's all over the place here. I've made a big mess, but you can't see that, so that's good. All right, so grab your yellow. And I like to start in any one of these corners firstly, but I like to start in an opposite corner. Why? Just for fun. Well, no, that's not true because your tails all end up in one side. This is only when we're changing colours, yeah? So grabbing your, I've popped that in the corner right there, yeah? Grabbing your yellow, pop it over your hook, pull a loop through. I'm just going to grab the tail, pass it forward because it's lock it into place so that we can crochet over it a little bit, yeah? So let's just do that. Chain 1, 2 and 3. Now we're going to actually place the stitch marker in those chains. It's a lot easier to place it in there now than it was when we first started. And then 1 double crochet in the same space. 2 double crochets in the same space. So you've got your chain 3, 1 and 2. Now you're going to add the corner by chaining 1 and 2 and putting 3 double crochets in the same space, and notice how I'm crocheting over the tail, and off you go putting your 3 double crochets all in the same space. Yeah. Oops, that didn't work. You keep going, guys. In you go like so. Just grab that tail now, popping it at the back. That's not the end of it. We still need to weave that in. Okay, I'm very pedantic with my tails. I don't like weaving, but I am pedantic with them, yeah? Yarn over my hook. We're going to skip over the double crochets or the cluster set, jump into that corner and do a cluster set. Do a double cluster set, which is 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and 2. It's actually a corner, really, if you want to get real pedantic. And another 3 double crochets. Like so. And there you go, you've done your 2 corners. Now I'm going to jump into there and do a corner. You don't need to do this, but I'm going to grab my tail at the back and I'm going to crochet over that tail in that corner. Not necessary for you to do this, guys, because it can get a bit tricky if you're new. So just leave your tail and crochet like normal and we'll weave in later. In fact, you know what? For this row, I'm not going to do it. I'll just do my 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1 and 2, and another 3 double crochets. Now it would have been a lot easier for me to have weaved that end in, or actually crocheted over it. There's my 3rd one right there, and our tail's still there. Make sure it's at the back, the tail, yeah? Yarn over our hook. We're going to jump into our final corner and do our final cluster or double cluster set there. 1, 2, 3, or it could be called a corner cluster. 1 and 2 if you want to use the lingo. And now doing 3 double crochets. 2 and 3. Now I have not chained in between each space or in between each set. There's 1 corner, 2 corners, 3 corners, 4 corners. And now we've got to slip stitch to join to close up our square again. Taking out your stitch marker, grabbing your yellow, pulling it through to the loop on your hook. Pull up a loop, you guessed it, we're going to cut it like so. Yes, perfect. Now, getting rid of your yellow and grabbing your, next colour is pink. Okay, we're going to grab our pink and start. Now, once again, I've got a really long tail here. Once again, we're going to start in an area where there are no ends. Find a spot that you like. I'm going to find this one right here. Pop your hook once again in the corner like so. Grabbing your tail, pulling it through. Pull that little tail forward so you can lock it into place. Chain 1 and 2 and 3, grabbing your stitch marker. Double crochet in the corner. So we're doing a corner set. So you're doing a second double crochet like so, chain 2, 1 and 2 and 3 double crochets, all in the same corner, all crocheting over your tail. And in this round I'll show you how I was going to crochet over that other tail, which will be the lemon right there. So pop your pink at the back. In this row we actually have, it's kind of a round actually, we actually have these side spaces now. These need to be filled up with clusters, called a cluster set if you will, and you're going to pop 3 double crochets in that space. You're going to skip over your corner section, jumping into the first space with 3 double crochets. Then once you've done that, you're jumping over your next cluster, going straight into the corner, and you're doing a corner set of, and you guessed it, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 1 and 2 and 3 double crochets. 2 and 3. All right, so you've done a side. You've got a side happening now. Jumping over these 3 into the first side section with 3 double crochets. If you put more in that section, you'll find yourself bumping, making another corner by accident. You don't want to do that. So jump into your corner with your corner set of your 3, 2, 3. That's what I like to call it, 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets. 1 and 2 and 3 double crochets. All right, so that is pretty much this round. I'm not going to head off or anything. I want you to see what I do with this little thread right here. Now, for those of you who know me well, my regulars would know this. If you're joining us new, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe. I grab that tail and I pop it at the back, and I put my yarn over my hook and crochet over that tail just once. And as I'm doing it, I drop the tail and it's crocheted over, and then I just keep putting the rest of the set over it. So it's like that. So I've kind of crocheted over the tail once. Later we're going to weave it in the second time and then weave it back a third. Different area, of course, because you don't want to have it unravel. Jump into your corner with your corner set. Now I do that with all my tails usually. Chain 1 and 2, finishing off that corner, except when I'm teaching a very difficult stitch. I try not to worry about tails, which is the pretty as a peacock blanket, and I'll just show you that here right now. There you go. How gorgeous is that? Now that blanket we're working on at the moment on the channel, if you haven't started it, by all means I will leave a link to that blanket in the description box down below, and you can go ahead and start it. It's very technical, but I think if you're new, you can take that risk. Yeah, take the risk and try something new. In the meantime, I literally got sidetracked there and jump into the space, the side space with your 3 double crochets. Yes. And there you go. You have finished your square. Not yet, actually. We've got to slip stitch into that stitch with a stitch marker. And we do actually have another round. It's a very important round, actually. So pull the loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. You're going to pull up a loop and change the colours yet again. This is the final change. Yay, get excited. Your next colour change would be exactly the same colour that we started with in the beginning. Once again, looking for an area where there are no ends. I think I will go right here. Okay, you don't have to, it just helps it with weaving in later. There's not as many ends in one section, that's all. So grabbing your little green tail, pulling it through the corner. We always start in the corner when we're doing granny squares like this. You don't need to, you could start anywhere you like, but I find it better in the corner. Chain 1 2 and 3, and you're going to pop your stitch marker in there like so. All right, then you jump into the corner and you do your corner. 1 and 2 double crochets. Yep. Chain 1 and 2 and finish off your corner with your 3 double crochets. And again, I'm crocheting over my tail. Again, not necessary. If you don't want to, leave it at the back and weave it in later. Yarn over your hook, jump into, oh, look what we've got here now, 2 side spaces. So you need to put 1 cluster in there and 1 cluster in the next. So we're going to start with the 3 double crochets in the first space. 3 double crochets in your next space, skipping over your double crochets from your previous round. Yeah, you don't even have to worry about them, just focus on the spaces. And then you've got a corner, so let's do a corner. 1, 2, 3, chain 1 and 2 and 3 double crochets. I hope I haven't gone too fast in this tutorial for you guys. I think I might have. But I wanted you to just really get started, and you can actually slow down videos here, by the way. All right, so that's one side. Super duper easy. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to head off on your own and do 1, 2, fill up those spaces, and you can crochet over the tail if you like. Do a corner, and then do 1, 2 sets. Do a corner, and then do 1 and 2 sets. Once you get that second set done, wait for me there and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, head off on your own, do your sides and your corners, and I'll meet you right there in just a moment. Alrighty guys, what you should have is this. You should have a corner, 2 clusters, corner, 2 clusters, corner, 2 clusters, corner, 2 clusters, and we haven't joined yet. So what we're going to do is slip stitch. I think I've split that stitch. I might take that stitch marker out. Slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker. I actually did split it, so don't split your yarn, guys. And pull your loop through like normal. Pull it through to the loop on your hook. Guess what you're going to do? Pull up a loop and you're going to cut it. And that is your final cut for your square. And what you've done is that right there. I still have one end to weave in on that one, but we have some ends to weave in on this one here. All right, so let's talk quickly just about that center end right there. A lot of people think, oh, wait a minute, I've crocheted over it. I don't need to sew that in. I don't need to weave. I don't need to do anything. Be careful. It can come out in the wash. It's not knotted. It's just pulled through. It's not knotted, yeah? So your job now is to actually weave that in. And what I want to do, the tail's going this way. So I'm going to start weaving it in from this way, and all you're doing is lifting up a few of those little edges there. Just check the front and make sure, don't worry about that one there, but make sure you can't see the needle in here. Don't worry about there because that's the corners and it's got a space there. Of course you can see it, but as long as you can't see the needle from the front, it means you can't see the thread from the front. And just weave it in one more time there. You don't have to even go all the way around. You can just do that. And then you're going back into the same direction, but making sure you're in a different stitch when you put your next, your needle through your next section, yeah? Or through the same section, I should say. Just go in different stitching so that it doesn't all bunch up. I think that is now perfect. We've crocheted over it once, we've sewn it in once, and then we've gone back the other way. All right, the third time altogether. Started off looking like 2, but it actually is 3 because we've crocheted over it once. Now, before we go, I'm going to leave, I want to do 2 more tails with you. and then I'll give you some instructions on what to do next. Just pop that green thread on. Remember, this is a thread we didn't crochet in, yeah? So we really have to be very pedantic about this one. Pick a little bit of thread. Actually, you don't even have to do that. Just pop your needle in through the stitches of your gold colour. And while you're doing it, you're actually threading in through the green. Now be careful doing this, it's splitting stitches. That will be hard to come undone if you've made a mistake. So make sure you've checked all your work first. Let's just check you can't see the needle. That's okay, because that's just a little corner there. Pop your needle through. I didn't leave my tail long enough. Hello. Let's grab that tail through. If I can get it through. Oh, I'm holding two threads. And just pull your thread through. Sorry about that, guys. That'll teach me. Let's make that tail a little, that's better. And just go back in the same direction, but in different stitches so that you don't unravel what you just did. Check the front, make sure you can't see the needle. Okay. Then you're going to do it a third time because you didn't crochet over this one, yeah? And that needs an extra reinforcement. All right. Pull that loop through like so. Give it a cut. And 3 times is plenty. Being careful not to cut your work. Once you cut it, you just give it a tug and the end kind of falls right into the pattern, yeah, or into your piece. One more time, let's have a look at an end that's here. Right here, let's try the yellow. That's not near a corner, that's just under one of these little sets. And again, you're doing exactly the same. Now remember, we crocheted over this one, so you want to grab a thread from somewhere, anywhere, and then start weaving it through. Now we're doing it on the back of our work, by the way, don't do it on the front of your work. Now just check the front, make sure you can't see the needle. Pop it through like so. Oh, it was a bit tight. That's good. That's good. All right, so then you literally go back in the other direction, picking a different thread to split. I'm hoping that that little splitting section makes sense to you. Yeah. Check your needle. You can't see it. That's great. I think 2 is plenty because we've already crocheted over it once. All right. So what you're going to do is cut that little thread like so. And once again, you're going to give it a gentle tug and it'll fall inside your piece. Now, I'm not going to show you anymore. You can actually do the rest. That one can go under those ends there. That one can go under those ones. That one can go under that one. And this one here is the one we just did in the yellow, can go under the 3. All right. So you can head off on your own and do those in a minute. But before you do, let's explain what I need you to do with your squares. Now, this particular pattern that you just did, which is that one right there, you need to do 4 of them for one side and then 4 of them for another side. So you need 8 squares, all right? You need to have 8 squares. You need to have 4 of the green, gold, pink and green, and 4 of the green, white, pink and green. Okay, so do your 8 squares, weave in all your ends except this last one, and I will meet you back here once you're done, and then we'll get together and join these squares together. All right, head off on your own, do your 4 squares, and I'll meet you back here. Do your 8 squares, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Ta-da! I have a set of 4 squares set up right here in front of me. Now these are the right sides of our work firstly, and the wrong sides are where we weaved in our ends. So you would have them all done by now except these little tails. If you've done them too, yay to you. If not, don't stress because we're going to crochet over them later. But in the meantime, let's make sure you've got an opposite, the lemon opposite the lemon and the white opposite the white. Yes, grab 2, move it over there. Yes, grab your back piece, flip it that way. So the back is facing you. Grab your front piece, see the back there? We want it facing that one. So now, no matter which way you turn your work, That's the right side and that's the right side. Now I love this stitch because you can work on the right side with it, which is fantastic. All right. So what you're doing is you're grabbing your hook, popping it in the first corner, pop it in the opposite piece corner right there. So it's all together like that. Now you are grabbing your green. Now if you wanted to, you could use any one of your other colors to do this part. Okay, but I want to use this as a border round or border row, so I want to use the green. Okay, sometimes the contrast color looks gorgeous when doing this particular stitch, and all it is a single crochet row. Yeah, grabbing your thread, popping it over your hook and pulling it through all thicknesses. Yeah, just pull that tail down. This is one time we don't pull forward with this. Just drop it there and leave it there because it gets in the way, okay? So chaining one like that, nice tight chain. And in the same space, you're doing a single crochet. Pop your hook in the space, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Grab your stitch marker like that, right there. And you're popping it through those 2 loops there, okay? And now we're going to single crochet all the way across through all thicknesses, not forgetting that very first stitch you see. And where you're crocheting into is that stitch with the 2 loops on top and your post down the bottom. Yeah, so pop your hook in there, go to the opposite stitch there, popping your hook in that stitch, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, into your very next stitch and your very next stitch. All right, with a single crochet. Now this is just, it's a little tedious, but it goes very quickly because your squares are only small, so it's an absolute bonus. So in every stitch across, I love doing this join for something like this for our bag, yeah? And just keep going all the way across. I'm going to try and pick up speed a little bit. I'm not going to pop it on fast or anything. I'm just going to pick up speed a little bit, she says as she slows down. Oh. All right. So we'll be joining the first 2, and then later we will add those other 2, which is coming up very soon. So now we're in our last set of 3 double crochets. And we're single crocheting through that last set, like so. Second last stitch, the last stitch of that set, and the last stitch of the opposite set. And then you've got your chain space. You're just going to do a single crochet in there, like we did here, yeah? And you're just going to go into the space around all thicknesses and do a single crochet. Like so. You don't have to pull your loops up. I just wanted to show you what you've got. And that's exactly what you have, right? Keeping it like that, grab your next 2, making sure you didn't move them. All right, so right next to your white should be your gold, and right next to that gold should be your white. Now remember what we did? We flipped the back one, yeah? We grabbed the front one and popped it on like that. So no matter how we look at it, that is always the right side and that is always the right side. All right. So bring it over, and if you've forgotten, white next to the gold right now. All right. Or if you've moved them around. So grab your loop. Now this is a little tricky, but it can be done, and it's important not to leave it too loose. So grab your pieces like that, and there's your 2 corners. You're going to tighten up that stitch there, pop into your corners over here, pull a loop through. Now that's going to be a really big space. So the idea is literally to tighten that stitch, pull the loop through like so, going directly into the very next stitch. Ta-da! Being careful, make sure you're going into the right stitch. That's the middle one, and that's the middle one, yeah? And making sure not to leave this section too loose. Into your next, and so on. last stitch, and then you have your space. Pop your hook in the space through all thicknesses, doing a single crochet, pull up a loop. Oh, maybe not that much. It was a lot, wasn't it? Give it a cut and just close it up like so. And what you have is that. Try not to move them around and twist them and everything. Just open it up like that. Okay? How gorgeous does it look like that? Yeah? Turn it to the side. And this is the best part, guys. I love this bit because it closes it all up, yeah? We're going to work along this side. So bringing your squares together, make sure it's the wrong sides inside and the right sides in front of you, yeah? Grabbing the same colour that you are using and pop your hook into the first corner and into the opposite corner, right? You there? Yeah? And just pop your thread on, grabbing your little tail, passing it forward. Oh, no, we're not passing them forward in this particular piece because we need to keep our ends at the end there, sorry. Chain 1, single crochet into your first stitch. And we don't really, I put the stitch marker there, but we don't really need it, guys, okay? Single crochet into your first stitch and your first stitch on the opposite side. And really off you go. You don't really need that stitch marker. In actual fact, if you want to pop the stitch marker there, you can. I might leave it here so I can show you later what we do in that section. Yeah. Single into your next stitch. And your next. Now here's where it's going to start getting trickier when we get close to the center of our work. But keep going into your second stitch. Into your third, and then your first and the next set, into your second, into your third. All right, now it's getting a little tricky here. Get into your first on this side and first on that side. Now, it might pay for you to put your finger up the back way, the back area, right? In that second one and in that second one right there. Do your single crochet, making sure not to leave it too loose here, yeah, because I just found myself doing that. Into your last one over here and into your last one over there. Yes, it's in. Right, before we go on, we've got the corner space. Single crochet into the corner space. And guess what? We're jumping over all this, jumping right into that very next corner space with a single crochet. Now, don't leave this too loose and don't pull it too tight that it's too awkward, yeah? And then single into your first stitch on this side, first stitch on that side, making sure you tighten it up a little, and off you go. The rest is easy. Yeah? Single in there. No, I've made that too loose, she says. The rest is easy, she says. And I did it too loose. So single all the way across this side. Now, you know how to do this because you did it with the other side. So I'm going to pop this on fast for you, and off we go. Alright, so I'm at the end of this section here and I've done my last 3. And I'm going to do my last stitch right in that spot there. Now, ordinarily I would be cutting it, but not now. We're going to chain 1, open up your piece and lay it flat out like so. Yeah? Turn your piece. And in your very next corner space, you're going to do a single crochet like that. I'm just going to grab a yellow one just for something different. Okay, and the green one we're coming to, so bear with me on that one. All right, so you've done a single crochet in there. Do a single crochet into your next stitch, 1, single into the next, 2, and the next, 3. And then single all the way across until you get to the corners. And off you go, single all the way across, all the way. When you get to the corner, which I'll stop you at, we're going to pop stitch markers in the corners so you can see what we're doing. Oh, we won't need stitch markers. I tell a lie. We're not going to pop stitch markers. We're just going to keep going. You're in the corner. Yes, we've got the last 3 double crochets. That's 2 and 3. I hope I didn't rush that for you guys, but look how nice that's looking. Gorgeous. All right, so in that space right there, you're going to pop 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then turning your work and working along this side. This is where we can crochet over the tail, and here is where I need to show you what to do with this single crochet. All right, so making sure you get into that very first stitch you see, which is 1, 2, and 3. And now single crocheting across, you know what you're doing here because we just did it on the side, but when we get to that little thread, I'll show you what to do with that little thread right here. Where is it? That's the single crochet right there, and there's the thread. There's 1 single crochet and then another one in that thread. You can crochet, you can just keep going across, or you can do what I do, whereas I hold the thread in the hand. You don't have to, but crocheting over that thread, 1, and then going directly into that tight chain there, 2, and then right into the next stitch there, and into your next stitch there. So you've gone from there and you've gone 1, 2, and 3, and in that center you're going to do a single crochet. Now, normally I would jump over this and just go into that. But in this case, when I do that, it keeps a little bit of a gap there. So in this case, because we've got a bag, we want to close that gap. So that stitch marker, you're going to do a single crochet in that stitch marker stitch. So pop your hook in the stitch marker, take it out. You're going from this side, yeah? Do your single crochet on it. Now that's a bit too loose. I've got to tighten up my stitch. Don't leave your stitch too loose here. Yeah, don't leave it too tight either. And do a normal single crochet, don't lose the stitch. And then jump into that center. Let me take that thread out of the center there. It shouldn't even be in there. How it ended up in there is beyond me. Yep. So single crochet into the center and then into your sides. All right, getting to that corner there. What I want to do, where have I done that stitch marker? Where is it there? What I want you to do is continue that side right there. We're going to pop that stitch marker in here. Hopefully yours is in there. It may not even be in there. You know what? Forget it. It's better to show you without the stitch marker so you can get used to seeing it like that, yeah? So what I want you to do is single crochet across. No, we'll do it anyway. We'll just pop the stitch marker right here just to show you where to stop to. All right. So what I want you to do, continue that corner, get to this section right here. Hello. Continue that corner, get to this section right here, and I'll meet you there once you're done, and then we'll do this section together again. All right. Head off on your own, get to this corner right here, and I'll meet you here once you're done. Alrighty, I got to this side here for you. Now I forgot to mention to make sure you put your 3 single crochets in that corner like we did here, yeah? You probably would have remembered, but anyway. When you get to this section, like we did before here, you need to, let's take that stitch marker out for starters, single crochet into the corner like that, and then you need to grab your hook and pop it in that single crochet stitch. It's the very last single crochet stitch from this top layer you did, and you're doing a single crochet on it. Then you're going to just move that tail down for a minute. You're going to do a single crochet in the corner, single crochet in the stitch, single in your next stitch, single in your next. And what I want you to do, this little tail like we did before, just pop it through the back. I realized that that's the way it started. You have to put it that way to get it to work, yeah? But now that we've got this to work, we can pop the tail at the back and we can eventually start weaving this tail in here. But don't worry about it for now. Your job now is to crochet until you get to that corner. So you do that corner and then get to that spot right there, and we'll do it together, all right? So get to that spot right there and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, I have got to this little corner space here. Thought I may as well show you this because now the stitches are on the other side. Yeah, that's why I thought I'd better show you this one as well. You're doing a single crochet in that corner space and your stitches are kind of facing that way. You still need to try and get into that first single crochet, dropping your tail downwards at the back. Do your single crochet like so. And then single crochet into the corner and then into your stitches all the way across. All right. So I hope that that has helped you through the corners. Now what you're going to do, this is the easy part, single crochet until you get to your very next corner down here, because that's the end of our round. So single crochet until you get to here, and I'll talk to you about what you're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this round. Okay, there is your corner space. Do your single crochet like normal. Now ordinarily we would slip stitch into that, which I've split anyway, so don't worry about it. But before we do, we still have to single crochet into that side threading, yeah? We still have to single crochet in there. So what I want you to do is, oh, that's really close. I'm sorry guys. So just pop your hook in there like so. Do your single crochet like normal and then slip stitch. I'm going to take my stitch marker out. But then slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker. Like so. Like that. Pull a loop through and pull it up. Now normally we would have crocheted in the round again. However, we need to, and I'll show you this way, we need to make, the reason I turned it around is to keep the tail down the bottom. So making sure your tail end is down the front. And we're going to start from these corners. We're going to start here, work our way around and finish there. But I'm going to give you a stitch marker spot to pop your stitch marker in. I should have probably done this before when we were doing our corners, but you've got 1, 2, and 3. All right, so you want to grab your stitch marker and pop it right directly in the middle of the corner, which is your second stitch. So there's your first and there's your third, and your second is right in the middle. Yeah, go to the opposite side and pop your stitch marker again in the middle. So there's your first, there's your third, and one in the middle. All right, middle. All right, so that's what you have so far. Yep, we're going to start working in that green stitch marker. Your tail's down there, your yellow stitch marker's there, and your green stitch marker's there. Bring your work to you. Again, you're working on the right side of your work. Bring it up, and we are going to pop our hook in the stitch of the green stitch marker. Take that out right there. All right, and grabbing your thread, your green again, or whatever color you used for this and the border, yeah? So grab your green, pop it over your hook. Oh, let's do that. Oh, that's too close. Hello. Pull it through like so. And we're going to leave it at the back there, the thread just for now. Hold it in your fingers nice and tight. Chain 1 and single crochet in the same stitch. You don't need to put a stitch marker there. All right. Actually, if you want to, I would place it there just for now, and we'll talk about that later. All right. You're going to put a single crochet, but in the back loops only of each stitch. Now these are your loops that you go through normally. So you've got your little V looking on top right there, yeah? This is called a front loop, and this one here is called a back loop. We're going into that back loop of every stitch. You're in this stitch already, so don't worry about that one. Your very next stitch is here. There's your 2 loops. We're going to go into the back loop and do a single crochet. Again, back loop, single crochet, back, single crochet, and you're going to do that until you get to the center. And then I'll show you what you can do in the center. The center's a little bit awkward because it's a bit tight. Yeah. Only because we crocheted into that little centerpiece, so it's rather tight. So keep going all the way across until you get to your center stitch. That one there. Okay, the next one is a bit loose, which is normal because that's in the corner. And then that one right in there is fairly tight, but it is there, making sure you're not going through 2 loops, you're going through that back loop only. Being wary there's a tail at the back, yeah? And again into your next, and then into your next. All right, so that section there you've done easy. Yeah, that wasn't too difficult. All right, and in fact, once you get to the corner, that's not going to be too difficult either. Now, especially since you're not doing anything fancy in the corner, not in that first corner anyway, or the second or the third. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, just 2. Hello. The 2 corners on the bottom, because we've already worked on that first corner. And now we're on to our second corner. Right there. You're not doing anything, you're just going into your back loops. Now being wary, it's a little tighter here. Those are the 2 loops. You want to go into the back. Into the back. Yeah, 2 loops, there's your back. All right, and that's your corner done. It's super duper easy. Now normally I would ask you to head off on your own, but I want you to get to this little stitch marker here. A stitch marker, let's try thread so that we can work around it. So I'm going to pop this on fast just until you get to that middle thread, and I'll meet you there in a moment. All right, we're nice and close. There's a back loop of your next one. All right, now it's fairly tight here, okay? So just be wary of that. There's a back loop of that one there, and there's your back loop of that one right there. Just grab your tail, pass it over, hold it there, and continue your single crochet. Then you're jumping straight into your next stitch with your single crochet. And you've hidden the knot. You are going to have to weave that in nice and tight because it's not really tightened up here. We've just hidden it at the back, yeah? And that's a stitch that you really need to hide in nice and tight, yeah? And that's it. That's pretty much it. Just single crochet in the back loops only all the way until you get to your very second last stitch right there, right next to that stitch marker, and I will meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, so there is our first stitch marker. We went all the way around here, did our corners, we came all the way back around until we got to that last stitch marker there. Remembering everything was all in the back loops, so we're still in the back loops of this next stitch. But when we get into our stitch marker stitch, we're going through both the loops. All right, so let's just take that stitch marker out and do a normal single crochet in both loops. Pull a loop through, lift up the loop and give it a cut. We are not crocheting across this way yet. All right, so that is one piece done already. You need to grab your next 4 squares and do exactly the same thing. Double crochet, let's try again. Single crochet across one way, single crochet across the other, single crochet in the round, making sure you're getting into those loops in here, yeah, and then doing your back loop border round only on 3 sides, leaving one side to the top for the handle. This is the top part of your bag, this is the sides, and this is the bottom part of your bag. All right, so what I want you to do is head off on your own and complete that. Meet me back here on Friday and we will complete our bag. Get excited, right? What we will do on Friday is we'll attach the 2 pieces together, pop on a handle, and by popular demand we may even line the bag. And I say popular demand because if you let me know that you want the bag lined, either in the comment section down below or on our lives, I will do that for you. And speaking of lives, the colour combination that you see here today was chosen by the lovely Bonnie on our live antics. Now, we have lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoon, Melbourne, Australia time, and 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. And in the Saturday mornings live, we get to pick one subscriber who will choose the colour combination of our very next project. So you guys get to be a part of Crochet Designs channel, if you will, by giving me the color combinations that you would like to see on the channel. And the lovely Bonnie chose 4 colors. I had 6 colors on the table. She chose 4, and this is what I came up with as a pattern. Okay, so you don't know what the pattern is, which is quite a surprise, but you do work it out during the week when I do the tutorial. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to go back to that timestamp, get your pieces done, put together, and I'll meet you back here on Friday to complete your bag. Thank you so much for watching, and ciao for now.